The humble quesadilla, the Mexican classic that everybody loves, whether you keep it simple with just a cheese or chicken version, or if you want to go absolutely nuclear and test both your mental and physical health with something like the deep fried barbecue chicken pepperoni pizza quesadilla. They're usually all great and very delicious, and I'm hoping today's submissions will be no exception. Starting off with the Kenji Lopez Alt breakfast quesadilla, and then transitioning over to this amazing looking steak quesadilla. Then up to the plate is this absolutely drool-inducing TikTok Cajun shrimp version, and finishing everything off with Joshua Weissman's mushroom quesadilla. And with the stakes all being set, it is time to get right into this one. The breakfast course is going to be up first today, and as I mentioned, it is going to be Kenji's breakfast quesadilla. I grabbed some bacon and large tortillas, sriracha, a couple of eggs, cheddar cheese, and salt and pepper. So a couple of things right off the bat with this one. I found it pretty ironic that I am making what is essentially a bacon, egg, and cheese quesadilla for my next video, considering I just set off a frenzied debate over on my Instagram when I admitted that I enjoy sausage, egg, and cheese sandwiches more than the bacon versions. The collective gasps from all my fellow New Yorkers were just heard from miles away, but I don't care. I think sausage is more consistent, it's usually juicier. From my experience, once you venture out of the Northeast US, you're kind of rolling the dice with these sandwiches. You might get raw, disgustingly chewy bacon, you might get charred up, inedible bacon. But anyway, as you can imagine, this recipe was very simple. The only technical thing I was concerned about was cooking eggs and then having it flip over in a non-stick pan. And as I attempted to pull this off, my concerns were correct. I would always suggest using non-stick when eggs are involved, but if you're like Kenji and you've mastered this sorcery, then knock yourself out. Also, this one's gonna get plated up with some sriracha, which, if you are unaware, is like gold recently. If you have some, cherish it. For whatever reason, there's a shortage again, so I've been rationing this bottle and saving it for only the best of the best. And this recipe looks like it fits that description, so let's give it a taste. The wheels kind of fell off in the last minute there, but overall, they still look pretty good. They look almost exactly like Kenji's. Very straightforward, but very delicious. It tastes exactly how you imagine. It is a bacon, egg, and cheese in quesadilla form. I do have to wonder if there's a way to incorporate a runny yolk into this somehow, since that's my favorite part of a breakfast sandwich, anytime these ingredients are combined. This would also be a great stepping off point for some other additions, spinach or mushrooms, any other veggies you got. But I'd be happy with this any single morning, and for our purposes today, a perfect place to start. Next up today, we've got these next level looking steak quesadillas from Via Cocina, I believe. And for hers, I grabbed some vinegar and paprika, onion and garlic powder, a flank steak, and some corn tortillas, a red and orange bell pepper and mozzarella, some cotija cheese and sour cream, some sugar and ancho chili powder, cumin, salt and pepper, a red and yellow onion, and some lettuce and cilantro. And I only just realized she also used a tomato for the plating at the end. And where do we go when we need a last-minute bit of free produce? Steven's Garden Incorporated, and because he's away on a work trip right now, I'll grab a few extra things in case something comes up and I need them. But for this one, we're getting into a bit more of an involved quesadilla. This requires a couple extra steps. It's much more authentic, I believe. Starting with a very simple pickled red onion that is thinly sliced onions, equal parts of the water and vinegar, a little bit of the sugar and salt. You just gotta give that about 30 or so minutes to mellow out the onions, and then a nice fresh mixture of equal parts of the cilantro and the white onion. If I'm not mistaken, this is a very common topping for authentic tacos. We use this for the birria, so I'm very happy that we're adding a layer of this here. I diced up about a half cup of both of our bell peppers. These are gonna get sauteed down in that pan after we remove the steak. It should pick up all that flavor, add a nice pop of color. The steak itself is gonna get absolutely coated in a nice blend of the spices. At first I was a little worried about this because, as we know, spices like to burn when they're exposed to high heat for any amount of time, but I guess this is kind of similar to a blackening seasoning you would put on a grilled chicken. So I'm assuming that's what we're going for, but either way, just gonna follow the video faithfully. I do really like that we're using corn tortillas for these ones. It kind of switches things up a bit. Admittedly, I did used to be quite the hater of the corn tortilla. I would almost always reach for the flour ones first, but I think I just wasn't eating the right ones, I wasn't heating them up properly, and now I have no preference. I like them both about the same. I do wish I was able to find larger ones. That would have made this a little bit easier to make, but we can live with it. It's not the biggest deal in the world. One interesting thing to know about the construction of these is that we first put some cheese down in the pan, put the tortilla on that, and then flip it over once that cheese gets a little crisp. I don't really like doing this, for the record. I think it adds unnecessary amounts of cheese to something that will already be filled with it. And if you make it properly, you should get a really nice crisp on the outside anyway, so what is it really adding? Every other part of this though, I am absolutely on board with. I loaded it with the steak, the peppers and onions, the cilantro. I chopped it in half and then plated it alongside of the salad with the cotija cheese, the pickled red onions, the red nasties. And that's it. This plate looks awesome, so let's give them a try. Look at that damn steak. Should I declare a winner already? Is that allowed? Because this thing is slamming. That steak is cooked perfect. I don't know why skirt steak isn't used more often. It's so good. You've got the meaty, salty cheesiness balanced out with the freshness of the cilantro and onion, the pickled red onion. You guys know I love a balance. The salad's good too. It's the perfect side dish, as long as you pick around those abhorrent things. Look at that grossness. Oof. These things have set the bar unbelievably high, so good luck everybody else. Next on the agenda today are these insane looking shrimp quesadillas from It's Ashley Renee over on TikTok. And I acquired, obviously, some shrimp and some paprika, low-carb tortillas and Cajun seasoning, garlic and herb butter and mozzarella, a green, yellow, and orange bell pepper, and some parsley. Similar vibes to the last one for sure. We're using the same mozzarella. We're gonna make a very similar bell pepper mix. We're gonna cook those off the same way in the same pan with the shrimp this time. Maybe not allow them to get so dark. And then obviously the big difference is the shrimp and the tortillas. And can I just say for one moment, I do understand that if you have a goal to lower your carbs for whatever reason, this Mission brand of tortillas is fine. I think that's the only one that offers that option, but for the rest of us, please stop buying these horrible, shitty grocery store tortillas. Especially anyone that says the word soft anywhere on the packaging. These are absolute trash. You might as well just buy a pack of Wonder Bread and hit it with a rolling pin. These wraps are the best I've found in a standard grocery store, if you can find them in plain. Second are whatever kind of extra large burrito tortillas you can find. That is what I use on the day-to-day. I don't know what kind of under-the-table deals the Taco Bells and Chipotles of the world have to not have a single grocery chain stock actual tortillas that are pliable, they're easy to work with, they're super big, but it absolutely infuriates me. So if somebody's got that answer out there, please let me know. Oof, sorry peeps, let me take a breath here and calm down. I assembled this quesadilla, and upon trying to flip it, can we also stop putting cheese on the outside of the goddamn tortilla? It's stuck to the pan like cement. I don't know when this became a thing, and we need to get rid of it immediately, because when you assemble a quesadilla properly, just with a little oil over medium-high heat, it gets beautifully crispy and golden brown. You don't need the cheese. But I guess this is looking good, so let's just eat the damn thing. 8 years that I've been cooking food on YouTube for a living, and a goddamn quesadilla triggers me that bad. It was worth it. This is absolutely delicious. It is cheesy, it is shrimpy. I love that spice blend on the shrimp. That garlic and herb compound butter is a really nice touch, and they are very crispy without needing to burn cheese onto the pan first. I'll never understand the people that say cheese does not belong with seafood. This is such a good pairing. There's a couple other examples out there, but I'd be happy with these any day. Very much worth the slight irritation, but I do have to give a slight leg up to the steak one still. And closing out the menu today is Joshua Weissman and his mushroom quesadilla. You will need some flour and a zucchini, lard, baking powder and oil, salt and smoked cheddar, Monterey Jack and sharp cheddar, Gruyere, a lime, some water and oyster mushrooms, a shallot, garlic, a fresh chili, and some parsley. Well, let's see if Joshua can redeem himself after last week and those horrid potato noodles. In case you missed it, I made the most foul noodle dish I've ever ingested. Nearly upchucked on camera. I will leave the link to that down in the description if you want to go check it out. But with this, how could you really mess it up? It starts with a cheese blend of your 4 different cheeses. Apparently this video was really just a side quest for me to see how many times I can get people on the internet to watch me grate some cheese. You gotta slice up and then saute all of your vegetables, the mushrooms, the shallots, zucchini, and chili. I waited until the very end to salt this mixture because I wanted to get some color, and the second salt hits mushrooms like this, it just absolutely dumps out water. I also used very little of that chili, that Jamaican hot pepper, because this stuff is no joke. And then for the final and most exciting component of this is the homemade tortillas. I've been looking forward to making and eating these all week. If you recall, we have made Joshua's homemade tortillas a couple of times in the past, and they are absolutely incredible. If you've got a couple extra dollars for the pork fat and then maybe 25 minutes to whip these together, I cannot recommend it enough. It is probably one of the most massive improvements over its average grocery store counterpart, especially relative to the time and money that it takes you. And the only technical advice I have is to use a pan like a cast iron or maybe a grill if you have access to one, because you need a very high heat. You want to blast this thing, you don't want to have it cook slowly and get it all dried out. And with that, our last quesadilla was ready to be thrown together. Was this one the most photogenic of the day? Possibly. You guys let me know, but I plated it up, and it's time to give our final quesadilla a try. Well, if that's not the prettiest quesadilla you've ever seen in your entire life, look at that thing. Except the little cherry. Oh shit, almost lost one there. I was gonna say, outside of the dark bits, a few spots got a little questionable. I've been looking forward to eating these tortillas all week, and they're still better than I remembered. They are so delicious, they're salty, they're crispy and tender, they roll out so thin, and they're actually pliable and easy to work with. That cheese blend is incredible too. You get the smokiness from the cheddar, it's the perfect balance of meltiness to flavor, and the filling overall, I mean, this could go toe-to-toe with any meat-based quesadilla. I was anticipating saying that this wasn't gonna stack up with all the other ones, but it really does. I love mushrooms. And it doesn't need a sauce either. I thought I was gonna say that too, but this is a very strong quesadilla. Are these better than the steak ones from earlier? I would say just barely no. They are still a very strong second place. Vegetarians out there, please, please make these. And everybody else too, for that matter. Or if you need a tortilla for anything, use that recipe, it is to die for.
With the M without the AD. Flipping burgers and my money super lazy. Try and make a meal tonight, they ain't paying me. Try and supersize my life with my 18. Yeah, our style wasn't wavy, but we had a vision.